By this point in your human design journey, you have likely heard the terms conditioning and deconditioning. Now, like everything in human design, there is no right or wrong, good or bad, better than, or worse than. And in this video, I'm going to share a little bit about how we can use our undefined centers, our open centers, to help us to better understand ourselves as well as those around us. So if you're interested in that, stick around. Hello and welcome to, or welcome back to, the Simply CA. My name is Alana, and on this channel you are going to find tools, tips, resources, and coaching that will help you to live your most aligned, most authentic, truest to who you naturally are life. We do that through human design lifestyle coaching, as well as additional coaching, yoga, fitness, meditation videos, and whole food, plant-based nutrition. If you enjoy this content, please give it a thumbs up. As well, click on that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know every time I post a new video. Share this content out to those people in your circle who might be interested in it, and doing all of that can really help boost all this content in the YouTube algorithm so that people that we don't know can find it. So conditioning itself is not bad. If the defined parts of your chart are what are natural and consistent for your current human experience, those parts in your chart that are undefined are where you're designed to experience the ebbs and the flows and the variety of others' experiences. And the combination of what you have defined and what you have open are what your soul is here to work with, is here to play with. Where you are defined, those are pieces of the puzzle that you get to live into, you get to own and experience as you experience them through your own lens. And those parts where you are open and undefined are where your soul is here to experience through others. Now, with that said, where conditioning can be limiting is where we attach ourselves to the experiences or the truth of someone else, where we are actually open. And I'm going to use a few examples here to illustrate how that can show up, as well as how you can take the wisdom of your open centers and more deeply embody your gifts. As our first example, let's say that you are a projector and you spend a lot of time around generators and manifesting generators, which, given they are the majority of the population, this is not uncommon. So you have an undefined sacral and you are spending your time around people with a defined sacral and in a culture that likely has been cultivated by those with a defined sacral. So the conditioning that can come out of that experience is to treat yourself when you are not in the environment of those with a defined sacral, to treat yourself as if you are a generator, to have those expectations of yourself. So let's say in COVID times, before you used to work in an office and you had a close colleague who was a generator. You might not have known it, but they probably were. And you got used to work life in that experience. You got used to that energy. Then let's say, given COVID, you now work from home. And that shift from being in the office with your generator people to out of the office on your own in your projector self, you may have noticed that your energy pattern is very different. So for those people, whether you are around generators, maybe your family members are generators and you didn't notice a difference, but whether you are around generators or whether you are not around generators, the key for you is to recognize that your natural energy flow isn't that consistent, metronome-like energy. It has a bit more of an ebb and a flow to it. You may need to take breaks. You may need to clear your energy by going for a walk or having a shower or sitting in meditation. There may be something that you need to do for yourself to move the generator energy off of you so that you can deeply sit in and recognize your unique energy, and to take advantage of those times where you are around that sacral energy and not put the pressure on yourself to live that story when you're not around those generators. So for another example, let's make this one just a little bit more extreme and unique. However, this can come up in so many different ways. We all have likely taken on the experiences and the energy and the beliefs of our parental figures, whoever those happen to be in our lives, whoever raised us. We've likely taken on a good chunk of their energy, their beliefs, and the stories and experiences that make up who they are. And sometimes those experiences and those beliefs and that energy can be really conflicting to who we are. And you'll especially notice that when it's a defined rubbing against a defined. However, you'll also notice it when you step away from your family unit and you begin to take on your own energy and live in your own energy. And you might recognize your undefined centers a little bit more. So for this example, let's say the parent is a generator with a defined sacral, a defined root, and a defined G center. So this person has an internal generation. They have an internal consistent pressure to move forwards, and they have a consistency in knowing their direction, where they're going. So let's take this example even that much further, and let's say that they are this generator who has fully embodied and lived in their natural gifts. So they've found their purpose, they've found their direction, they are successful, and they've developed their skill and their strength in their area. Now, let's say that they have a manifestor child who has a defined will center, but doesn't have a defined G or a defined root or a defined sacral. Now, within the energy of your parental figure, you may have felt a lot of pressure to figure it out, to figure out your direction, to put yourself on the right path. And with that defined will center, you may have actually managed to willpower yourself into a certain space. However, you may notice, especially if you were to step outside of that family unit, you may notice that your energy actually is not that. You may notice that you feel an uncertainty about your sense of direction. You may have willed yourself into a path, and then stepping outside the family unit, you may look around and be very confused and uncertain. You may also have pushed yourself into something that ends up feeling so draining because it's a consistency that's required, and although you can will yourself through it, it really isn't utilizing your energy, let alone your natural gifts and talents. And so for this person, depending on what other areas are defined, it's really important for you to really deeply look at your manifestor strategy and your unique authority. Look at your gifts and follow and lean into your manifestor urges. Allow yourself to start and stop. Recognize that that pressure that you feel is an impetus to start something. But just because you've started something doesn't mean you have to continue that same direction. Doesn't mean that you have to see it through to completion. Now, I do want to caveat this by saying that as a manifestor, there is a point, and you'll recognize this within yourself, there is that bright, shiny objects thing. And you might notice that you are bouncing a little too quickly. And part of that can be that you're overcompensating for not knowing your direction or overcompensating for not wanting to see something through. So one of the suggestions that I have for you, if you are noticing that you are a little beyond what you personally would like as far as starting things, or like you're not even really getting that oomph, the first thing is really listen to your authority. So really focus and play with your authority. And I will link the authority videos in the description box, as well as the centers videos. The second piece there is to notice if you just need to reinvigorate your energy around whatever it is that you're currently doing. So is there a shift? Are you pretending to be a generator when in reality you're a manifester, and you would rather start it, be creative about it, and always feel that like newness about something? Or are you trying to do the nitty-gritty details? And as a manifester, it might be better for you to follow that strategy of informing so that other people come and help you with the details so that you get to stay excited and bright about the newness and not dragging into the work of it. And really, for anyone with an undefined root, recognize that the pressure to complete or the pressure to start or the pressure to generate really isn't yours to take on. Allow yourself to recognize the right timing. Allow yourself to know that things will move and shift as they are meant to. So when you take a look at your human design chart, and the link is in the description in order to do that if you don't have yours in front of you, the defined areas are what are present to be consistent for you in this lifetime. And those undefined areas, those are the ones that you are here to experience through your interactions with others. They are not yours to take on as a story. They're not yours to attach yourself to. They are not yours to expect yourself to live up to and live into. They are here so that you can develop an understanding and an awareness and a flavor of them. However, they are not your natural energy. So I've used this example before, and I use it because it's so near and dear to who I am in my personal experience, but also because I find it very applicable. My mom has a defined emotional solar plexus, and I have an undefined emotional solar plexus. I have a lot of gates that come off of my undefined emotional solar plexus, so it's easy for it to become defined when I'm around others, including when I'm around my mom. So my mom's channels complement my emotional solar plexus. So not only do I experience emotion through her, I also end up with a defined solar plexus when I'm with her. So growing up, I had a pretty consistent emotional wave. I expected a build-up and then a big cry. And this happened daily. It happened weekly. It happened. It was part of my life experience. And that experience really helped me to develop an awareness of the broad spectrum of emotions. It helped me to develop a language and an understanding and a compassion for having emotions. Now, when I went away to university, I was no longer in that energy. And I thought I had broken. I thought something was wrong with me because I no longer had that build up and cry. And I had become quite used to it. I had come quite familiar with build up, cry, release. And so I really truly thought that I was broken because I wasn't getting that cry release. I wasn't even feeling the build up in the same way that I had previously. And finally, when I learned about human design, that's when I recognized that, oh, my natural state is actually very neutral. And one of the things where this has come up for me is after breakups. You would expect that after a breakup for there to be a huge emotional release. And I noticed that there wasn't. And it was that piece of like, oh, I'm naturally neutral. I naturally don't have that build up and release. And I touch on this in my most recent video as well regarding part of my Incarnation Cross, in that one of my gates in my Incarnation Cross is about always looking on the bright side, always looking for that silver lining. And between being a non-emotional, meaning that you experience others' emotions, I do also have an emotional versus non-emotional video, so if you want to know way more about it, I will link that in the description as well. But the combination of that undefined emotional solar plexus plus that gate that is always looking on the bright side of things, even in a breakup, I always kind of had that like, oh, okay, well, that sucks, moving on. And I thought that was so wrong. But in reality, that is my natural energy. That is my natural ebb and flow. That is how I naturally move through my experiences. And at the same time, I was given that crash course. I was given that gift of deeply understanding emotions so that when I'm interacting with someone who has those depths of emotion, I not only can experience them, I can also recognize and understand them and show compassion as well as empathy. Now, as always, none of this is good or bad. None of this is right or wrong. None of this is better than or worse than. This is all a language to help you better understand your experiences, your natural gifts, your natural strengths, how you and your energy naturally show up in this world. This is just here as education so that you can lean into your natural gifts and you can recognize where you have taken on the conditioning, the definition of somebody else in your life. You can recognize where those open centers are, what stories, what beliefs, what experiences you have tied yourself onto with regards to those open centers in you that have been conditioned by the experiences and the energy of someone else. I do want to share more about our relationships and how our energy layers with other people. So if you have questions, please share those down in the comment section below. I would love to get a little bit more tangible feedback so that I can really build off of that and answer those questions about relationships. But for now, as we are talking about these open centers, conditioning, deconditioning, your definition and your openness, I would love to also hear from you down in the comment section where you lean on your strengths or where you're learning to lean on your strengths, where you have potentially in the past or currently tried to attach yourself to the strengths of others or to that definition of others, and how you notice the beauty of your openness, where you're open and the experiences that you have through your relationships and through your open centers. So lots of questions, but let me know down in the comment section. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please give it a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell and leave me comments, share this out. You can also tag me on Instagram at @thesimplyca, and I think that's all I wanted to share today. So if you have more questions or if you want more information about layering relationships, leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you are getting on with your understanding of your conditioning and your deconditioning, your open centers and your defined centers. And I will see you in the next video.